welcome back to another episode of Buffalo Happy Hour. Mike, what's going on?
Oh, Derek, we're sharing a mic. We got all the fun things, but we have new friends on our show at their establishment, so we should dive into titles, I suppose, if they do exist. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Yeah, we got titles.
Love that.
I'm Colin. I'm the brewmaster.
I'm Tyler. I'm the CEO, self-proclaimed.
John, Chief Marketing Officer.
Look at that. So we are at Sad Boys Brewing. Do you guys want to talk about the location and then where people can come visit, all of you?
Yeah, we're at 567 Exchange Street, right next to the Roar building in between the railroad tracks. Big red building, can't miss it. We have a small sign up front, but we are working on signage, getting something a bit larger out there.
We are located at the back of the building.
How did you find this spot?
Well, like all good ventures, it started on Craigslist. So we originally wanted to go into the North Towns when we started looking at places, because if you take a look at a map of all the breweries in like the Buffalo Niagara region, almost all of them are kind of cloistered from the city down to the southern tier. So we were looking at the North Towns, but we figured out pretty quick why that was the case. Rent was just super high up there, and if it wasn't in the best area. So we were going through a realtor at the time. I think it was through like 716 Realty or something like that, but it just wasn't working out. We kept going like to these huge establishments that were not fitting kind of the vision we had, and especially the equipment we have. So I hopped on Craigslist as kind of like a Hail Mary and found this place, and just kind of took off from there. Landlord was real nice and very open space, and he gave us a lot of leeway in how we could kind of construct it. So that's kind of how we ended up here.
Yeah, that was a big thing for us, was freedom to do what we wanted with the space. We had talked to other landlords at the time who kind of wanted to do their own thing, and that wasn't what we wanted to do. So we were very pleased that there was a lot of freedom with the space.
Sure. Did you guys start homebrewing first?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
How'd that go?
It actually was really fun. So like me and Tyler started homebrewing first back in college, and we were basically brewing because our beer budget was through the roof and we just wanted to get drunk. And it turned into
It was just fun too.
It was fun. And it turned into a really fun hobby. And as most hobbies, it quickly spirals out of control and you start spending more money on it. But it was fun. We were doing bottling, and then I found a guy on Craigslist who had corny kegs. Then we started doing them in the old Coke kegs, and these guys came to me. Well, it was really a joint thing, but Tyler was the one who had the original idea for the business, and he said, we should start a brewery, and you make really good beer, and I think we can do this.
And how did you get brought in?
So I got brought in probably a year or two after you guys had already started brewing.
Yeah, about a year and a half.
About a year
Yeah,
and a
about a
half
year and
in. I was already working on a couple social media pages myself, and as we sat and started talking about making this into a real business, that's where I kind of got slotted in social media, Facebook, Instagram.
And there's a fourth person too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not here today. Andy, he's their supply chain guy. We all went to Franny's together as well. So me, Andy, and John here graduated in 2015. Colin was a year ahead of us, but we also roomed in college, and that's where we kind of, like you said, started brewing.
Yeah.
What was your first beer you made? Do you remember?
The first beer I made was it was the base for Kettle My Corn. Remember that? So like we have a beer now called Kettle My Corn, and the idea for that was the first beer I made. It was it was called Lawnmower Pilsner. I got it out of a book, like a brewing book, which is how I'm fully self-taught, and I read a bunch of books, and one of the books had a recipe for an American Pilsner, and that was the first beer that we ever made.
That's crazy. Where did you guys go to college?
Me and Tyler went to Niagara University.
I went to Duville.
Nice. Okay. Because there's now this giant push for like brewery programs in colleges, which is fascinating. And a lot of people were kind of shocked that came up. It was a giant train. It sounded like it was coming into the building.
It happens all the time.
25 cents off pints.
That's what I'm talking about. Did you guys do that program in college, or did you go for something else?
No, so I went for biology. So kind of a little similar. I specialized in school in microbes and that kind of stuff. I was doing small cell biology, which I continue to do now at my full-time day job. But basically, we thought about sending me to school when we first started the business. I was making beer and I was getting better at it, and we had toyed with the idea. And the more and more I started telling people about it, the more they kept telling me that it was a bad idea, and that basically the guys who had already gone to school, it was basically a refresher course in everything that they already knew, and that you could learn everything doing it yourself. And there were a bunch of other brewers in the area who told me that, and so I decided to just continue to brew and get better at it by myself.
Well, I'm sure it's one of those things where the people that probably went, or even the established breweries in the area, can teach you more than going to college and studying an actual course could. So
Yeah.
from that aspect, do you have local idols or breweries that you kind of look up to or rely on? Yeah,
100%.
Who are
I'll
they?
name drop a few guys here. Spotted Octopus, Briar Brothers, First Line. They're all great guys. We all help each other out, but they've helped us immensely. We bought our system from First Line. This is their old system. Spotted Octopus, we met at a brewing event, and they were like us. They were trying to get licensed. They weren't licensed yet, and Collaboration let them and us come in and let people sample our beer without a license, which was awesome. And Briar Brothers, when we opened up, he was like in the door like right away, like coming in, trying our stuff, and he'll try my beer and he'll give me advice, and he's super helpful. Like if I'm out of something, I can ask him like, "Hey man, I'm out of this," and he'll get it for me. And they give me great advice about like how to improve my beer, like what I could do differently. We wouldn't have the seltzer that we have now without Spotted Octopus. Shane was instrumental in fine tuning our beer and making it, better overall, better quality, better consistency. And Briar
Just helping
Brothers,
us understand the equipment better.
yeah,
too,
helping
as
us
is,
like
yeah.
figure things out. It's not easy. Like you get this stuff and there's no user manual. Like
Right.
you're expected to kind of understand how to use it. And so a lot of it was trial and error. And we got this stuff when we were brewing once a week in Andy's basement, just trying to figure out how it works. And I'd text him and be like, "Hey, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, is there anything that any advice you can give me?" And those guys have all been instrumental in helping us get open.
That's awesome.
So you guys have been open for,
2 months now.
A little,
Right.
under, a little under 2 months. Right about
Yeah.
2 months, actually.
which is awesome because when you guys first dropped your Instagram, we have some elements in common. We might know the same people when it comes to logos. So, so in that, we obviously connected from there, and then it was kind of a waiting game to figure out when it actually made sense to have you guys on. Just because as soon as you start, it's obviously a whirlwind. It's super busy,
Yeah.
and then it's nonstop trying to get everything in order. So it's awesome that you guys are able to sit down and do this. What was that process like getting up to today with things with the city, outside of finding the space? Because obviously that was a lot of research and then some elements of luck where it just was kind of here. But what was it like working with the city to get everything in line?
Working with the city, that was kind of my main job. And we're lucky that our landlord has a contractor. We went through Lamparelli. So he's pretty well connected in the city, obviously. He built a Roar building, actually, that you passed by as well. So he handled the main permits and everything like that. But the worst part by far was dealing with just the constant delays in construction. And we did a lot of the work ourselves as well to save a lot of cost. Most of the stuff that the contractor handled was kind of just the legal stuff, like the electrical, the plumbing, etc. All the stuff to make sure, fires don't happen and that it's all squared away. But we tried to save money and time as often as we could. We built the bar ourselves, every single one of these tables, this included. We built by hand, the cooler as well. And when I say we, I also mean mostly Colin's dad, who's an engineer. So we were kind of like the stereotype of like the 8-year-old kid like holding the flashlight wrong while dad yells at you. So, but yeah, like the worst part from my perspective was waiting on contractors to finish it because and I get it, like everyone's busy. We got quoted multiple different times that it'd be ready. We thought we were going to be ready the summer prior. That
okay.
obviously did not happen, but dealing with the city got a little tough sometimes just because it takes a while to get almost anything approved for a permit, and I think it took us like 6 months to get the initial construction permit actually sailed through.
Yeah.
We had to redo the plans a couple of times. We actually had to fight with the city on the zoning too, because there was a couple of mistake zones. Originally, they wanted us to get a special use permit,
Yeah.
but we pulled up the map ourselves and we're like, well, no, according to your own book, it says we don't need it. So and that took a bit of
Yeah.
maneuvering, but we're here now, so bygones be bygones, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
How is it? So back when you were homebrewing and you're like, okay, maybe this can be a business. What was it like getting into business with 4 friends? Like, were there any compromises that were made, or like?
Oh, yeah.
Normally, when you start a business, it's like 1 or 2 people. You guys did 4. So like,
Yeah.
how is that process?
I'll tell you from my personal experience, it's a lot of compromise. You gotta take nothing personally, and that's the big thing. Is like, everyone's human, and like we're all like great friends still. Like we all hang out. Like obviously we're business partners. Like we're here all the time. But, like we hang out on the side together, and like you can't take anything really personally. Like everyone makes mistakes, and there was a lot of that when we first got started. Like trying to get funds to get open, trying to get ideas for where we wanted to go, like delegating duties and
Figuring out everyone's role in the
yeah,
pie too.
yeah. It's a lot of work, but it was very, in the end, it was very rewarding.
Sure. So, marketing comes in. You guys figure out how to brand yourself. What was the process on branding yourself and then communicating the message? Because Sad Boys can have a lot of different meanings. So
Connotations,
yeah.
yeah.
So like, what does it mean, and how have you guys kind of found yourself in this brewery industry?
Well, handle that one.
Yeah, no. So depending on who you ask, you'll get a different breakdown of why Sad Boys. Why did you pick the name? Tyler is perfect at giving the long story, kind of our origins. But I like to boil it down to when we're sad, we drink. When we drink together. And we always figured people would like to join us. We're a fun batch of guys. We all bring something different to the table. And like Colin was saying, there's a lot of compromise, but there's a lot of balance in which we, if one of us is having a bad day, we cover each other. It's that give and take of the being able to have 3 different partners. As far as getting our name out there, I believe the biggest point for us was the Buffalo Bills games. We started a pop-up tent at Wormafix, and we would, during the season, give out pints of mainly our Berry Sad and Kettle My Corn Pilsner out to just to passerbys going to the pregame.
And it is hard to give away free beer.
A
Much
lot
harder than we think. But a lot of it was self-inflicted too. So when we first started doing it, we had no it was kind of a, because I live right by the stadium, and we'd kind of hang out at my house for games. And it was kind of a whim, since we had a cannular already to can the beers. And, at first we'd give out to family and friends, and we just kind of decided one Bills game to go out there, set up a tent, and again, not prepared. It was just a small little table, no branding. We were dressed like Bills fans, handing out like unmarked cans of stuff to people. And it just, obviously, if I was just a passerby, I would not trust us either. But we got better at it. We started labeling the cans, brought out, a vinyl banner, a tent. We started, dressing out
Yeah,
up
we're
like
looking
we actually owned the
professional,
business.
looking
Yeah.
professional.
And that helped a lot. But word of mouth has been huge for, can't underestimate social media, but word of mouth, especially in Buffalo and the craft beer industry, is huge.
And that's been a really nice angle from a lot of the other breweries. Spotted Octopus, I've heard many times our customers come in and say, hey, we actually heard about you guys because they're talking about the newest brewery down at Spotted Octopus or Breyer Brothers. So the community that's Buffalo's built around craft beer has definitely been like an amazing community to start in. Sure. They've made it easy without a doubt.
I could literally picture you guys behind an old foldable table with stains on it, and you're just like, please try this. Please try this
exactly what
fluid.
happened.
Yeah, that's exactly how it went down. It was pretty fun. We actually took our banner that year to Kansas City.
Oh, yeah, we all went to the 13 Seconds game. And, we brought the banner there, and it really put the sad in boy for us.
Exactly.
But it was great, though, because all the Kansas City fans were super dejected, and all the Bills fans were kind of looking at each other because we knew something was going to happen. You got that Billsy feeling in the air. It was a bad time.
One of you guys went through a table for that game,
Both
right?
of us did,
Both,
yeah.
both. There we go.
But you asked about the origin of the name, right? And the actual connotation of Sad Boy. So where we got the name, and Colin kind of touched on it, it kind of started as a joke, Sad Boy, and it kind of spiraled from there. But the reason why we named it Sad Boys is during the time of our lives when we started this, it was really post-college. So we were all working those really sad post-college jobs. Like, I was at a call center. John was at Tim Hortons. He was a coffee specialist, as he liked to
Coffee
say.
specialist.
That's a name for it.
Yeah. Colin was like a pharmacy tech making like $12 an hour.
Yeah.
So we were all working those post-college jobs, those sad post-college jobs, and we were quite literally a bunch of sad boys. And the only time we'd, feel really happy is when we get together, make some beer, drink, and just have a good time. So we kind of wanted to take that, and especially while we were young, see if we could make it a career. So we actually kind of got inspired by First Line because I'm an Orchard Park guy, as I mentioned before, and they're obviously right around the corner from where I live right now. So we actually popped up when they first opened, and this is back when they still had their like 800 square foot dry cleaner space beforehand. And me and Colin at the time were the only two involved before these guys got on board. So we wanted to see if we could talk to the owner, since we knew it was like their opening night. Talk to one of the older gentlemen that ended up actually being one of the, I think Shane's father.
It was Shane's dad.
Yeah, it was Shane's dad. And he brought Shane over, and we were kind of shocked that he was like, me and Colin's age.
Yeah, he's my age.
And,
He's 27.
And we had explored it like the official route, like, you gotta have like 100, 150K to start. And, I just described to you what we were doing at the time. If we went to a bank, we would have been laughed out the door. So we're like, so there goes that dream. And, we talked to Shane, and he's like, no, that's not the case, man. There's a lot of different, how popular the craft beer industry is right now. There's a lot of different ways to get it done much cheaper. He actually introduced us to the spike system. And, at the time we didn't buy it, but we ended up, like Colin said, actually buying their equipment. So they kind of gave us a loose business model and some inspiration to actually put that first step forward to actually getting the thing open.
Did you have other names in mind, or was it always going to be Sad Boys?
No, so we actually, like, about a month into being serious, like, all four of us were in it at that point, and we had started our operation, and we were telling people that we were doing this, mostly friends and family. And I gotta say, there were a lot of people who were skeptical. Like, pretty much every friend or family was like, I'm not so sure you want to go with the name. And we sat down and we were like, okay, guys, like, we gotta pick a lane here. Like, we're brand new. Like, are we gonna go with this, or are we gonna change it? And I'm just gonna say it because, like, this is the attitude of Sad Boys Brewing. We said, fuck it, we ball. And that's what we went with, and it's worked out for us. So we had a great time. We were unapologetic about it, and we were like, no, this is who we are. This is what we want to do, and we're super happy and stoked about it.
Do you get a lot of people asking when they come to the bar, like
Every
other
person.
customer
We've told
asks.
that story. We've told that story more times than we've been open. It's it never gets old though, because like I said, we all kind of put our own spin on it. So depending on who you ask, you're gonna get a different side of the story. And I think that just kind of complements who we are, is that we all kind of believe we came from different points.
That's awesome. You guys mentioned that you built a lot of this yourselves.
Yeah.
So where did you source all the materials?
So I'll let you tell the bar story, since that was your dad.
Yeah,
but
so the bar is composite panel. It was originally used to machine parts. So they would take two pieces of metal and they would put epoxy, or they would put like an industrial glue between them, and they would sandwich them using those because the glue wouldn't stick to the wood. Those are actually like 40 years old. Well, my dad's company got bought out, and they were just gonna throw them out. And he was like, "Hey, what are you doing with these?" And they're like, "Oh, we're getting rid of them." He's like, "Can I take them?" And they're like, "Sure." And so he took them and he machined out the letters, and we hand poured the epoxy and then hand painted them, and that's where the bar came from.
sweet?
But getting the bar, ironically, I have to say, it's one of the easiest portions of getting
The
this
bar
beauty together.
The bar was very easy.
the worst parts were probably the tables, and specifically the cooler. I'll start with the cooler because it's kind of a fun story, and also we saved a lot of money on it by accident as well.
Yep.
So, and kind of ties into your question about the city of Buffalo and the different codes. So with fire code in Buffalo, if that was a freestanding structure, you'd have to actually drop this entire sprinkler system into it, and that would be very expensive. So to avoid that, we actually put that whole thing on casters. So there's like 12 casters on that cooler, and it's a mobile cooler.
Yeah, it rolls.
So and you can actually see the roll marks on it as you go by the bar. So, like,
That's awesome.
yeah. So it kind of saved us a lot of time and money doing it that way. But the best part is we ordered all the material, all the wood, the foam insulation on it from Lowe's, and we did it online to pick it up. So Andy goes to pick it up, and days later, $3,000 worth of material. We're looking at our bank account to when it's going to finally go out, and they just ended up never charging us. So it's the best free cooler you'll ever have. So that saved us a lot of money. And some stuff we still had to pay, like the AC unit,
the AC
the
unit.
door, all that stuff. But, Lowe's mistake saved us a lot of money, and
Yeah.
it actually enabled us to start. People ask a lot about the tables as well, and the real answer is we just couldn't afford to get like real tables from a real supplier. So we ended up, when you walk out, you'll notice a huge cable spool in the corner, and you might have actually seen it because you parked that way. We bought 2 of those, and for these long tables, we actually cut, since they were 8-foot spools, we separated the spools and cut them along the line to make the long tables, and then bought bases for them. And we scavenged other spools off the side of the road and made high tops out of them, some of the smaller ones as well. So, everything here we've kind of built by hand mostly, and necessity is the mother of invention, and we just had no money, so
Absolutely.
I have to disagree with Tyler, though. Although the cooler and the tables were a pain in the butt, I have to say, it was mainly me here, but we had to sand this entire floor.
I forgot about the floor. Yeah.
And the wall.
Days,
yeah.
just days before we got the spot, they painted the floor purple.
Yeah. Painted the whole floor
Yeah.
purple. I think it was like a last little middle finger from the previous tenant to the landlord for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But obviously that hot potatoed right into our lap. So we just bought tons of sand. Well, rented tons of sanders from Home Depot and just went to town on it for days. And the worst part, even worse than the floor, was that wall over there. So there was about 7 or 8 layers of paint on the brick, and you can't, back to state and city regulations, you're not allowed to sandblast indoors in New York for environmental reasons. So it took us about a month where we took metal because we really wanted the natural brick color on it. We took metal toothbrushes and sanding paper and just went to town on that. And it took a month. We got to the windowsill and we just tabbed out.
We were not
and just
doing it on ladders.
Yeah, we weren't doing it on ladders, so we just ended up painting the rest of it black, but it took a while.
We just learned of a company that actually removes paint off of brick from a local distillery around the corner.
Why didn't you tell us? That's
Because we learned about it last night.
That
Last
would've
night,
saved us
literally.
So, much time.
So it's the interview that literally went live the Friday before this. And he's like, yeah, we have 3 floors and it was all painted. So I just had him come in and remove all the paint on all the brick.
I'm going to add that to the story of why we're called Sad Boys.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Gave us a 13-3.
So that would have saved, I mean, I don't know how much it costs. I'm sure a lot.
It would have been worth, we're pretty cheap, but that would have been worth it.
That would have been worth
Like-
it. It took us literally a month just
Yeah.
to get up to there because what you failed to mention was we stripped it, but there was another layer of plaster
Oh, yeah.
underneath all the paint. So you can't strip plaster. You have to scrape it off. That's why we had to do that. It's like the stripper would take off a couple layers of paint. You put more stripper on. You get to the plaster, and you're like, this isn't coming off. What the hell? And then you had to basically take a metal brush and sandpaper and start going to town on it.
I guess that's the good thing about being called Sad Boys is because that's never going to go away. We're always just going to be sad.
Oh, 100%.
Next space you open is just going to be very sad boys and then just go from there.
Exactly.
When
Sadder
it gets worse
boys,
for you, it
sadder
gets better
boys.
for us.
So we're drinking, Mike and I are drinking the Hefeweizen, and so are you. What are you two drinking, and what do you guys recommend for somebody coming in that hasn't tried Sad Boys yet?
Berry Sad, and I heavily recommend the Berry Sad. This is my crowning accomplishment. I say that confidently as a brewmaster. I've spent 4 years perfecting this recipe. I think it's our best seller.
Oh, it is by
and
far,
it's a little strong. It's 8.4%, but it's a Loganberry IPA, and the Loganberry mellows out the hops really nice and really well. It's a really great introductory drink to people who don't like IPAs. It's my personal favorite here.
And people who've been with us a while have kind of noticed the change. Because when we first started doing it, it came out looking like Lane, like just the ugliest shade of purple you could ever imagine. So
Yeah.
a lot of trial to get it to where it is now, but we're very happy with where that one is specifically. Yeah, anything Loganberry and Buffalo sells.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's a Buffalo staple.
Oh, absolutely. For sure.
I also grabbed the Hugh Hef just to stick with the theme for the day. But I have to say, I'm a big fan of our seasonal beers, and I hate seasonal beers just because they always seem to be the best and they're always gone. We just actually finished up our All Fluffed Out, which was a fluff stout.
Well, you're a stout man, so
I'm a
love your
stout
stouts.
drinker, so our peppermint patty stout, I'm just waiting for Christmas to come back. We missed it for St. Patty's Day, but I'm gonna put some peer pressure on Brewmaster here to bring it back for Christmas.
We'll bring it
time.
a little earlier.
You can do a little Christmas in July action.
Yeah,
could.
ooh, man, that,
Christmas in July party.
all
There you
scout
go.
Don't give him ideas.
already planning an event for it.
I just going back to the tables really quick because we talked about how you guys feel like you compromise a little bit on the tables because you didn't have the funds for it, but I think it fits the space very well because this is a very kind of like it gives off that vibe. If you had better or different tables, I don't know if it would have looked right in the space.
I'd agree with that.
No,
it
no,
ended
I
up
have to say-
buffing out pretty good for us. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the handmade and a lot of the effort that we put into the space really helped with the atmosphere that we were trying to bring, which is that comfortable, cozy, you're hanging out with your friends atmosphere. And I've talked to our patrons, and we wanted to be somewhere where you feel comfortable. If you want to get dressed up, you're welcome to, but if you wanted to come hang out in sweatpants and a t-shirt, this is the place to do so.
We want to bring that drinking with your friends in the basement atmosphere to a brewery. That's what we're all about. Yeah.
Are there any future plans to expand outside at all? Because, I mean, that's a big thing in Buffalo too. Is patio season? Is that
Oh, yeah.
on your mind at all, or no?
Actually, it's coming up pretty
Yeah, it's
soon.
hopefully this week or
Yeah,
next
hopefully
week.
this
Oh,
week
really?
we're putting out
Yeah.
the patio. So it's nothing major. It's going to be about 2 parking spots full, but we're going to have like an outdoor like pop-up gazebo, a couple tables out there, some games. Just a small start for now, but we do have some future plans. Hopefully, obviously 2 months into the venture, nothing solidified yet, but we eventually do want to expand a little bit, get a kitchen in here. Nothing can be named yet until it's official, but we are working with an outside partner to do the food. Hopefully, an announcement will be forthcoming. But we got some plans in motion to bring a little bit more to the table here.
That's awesome. When you guys were going through the zoning process, obviously that was a nightmare, right? But did you kind of try to play chess as much as possible with the space of thinking about the long-term vision of the establishment? And you're like, we would ideally like to have A, B, and C. Can this building facilitate A, right?
Yep.
Like, can we
Yeah.
at least open? Okay, we check that box. And then from a zoning perspective, how does that work with indoor, outdoor permits? Like, what was that whole conversation like with the city?
So with the city, we will eventually need a special use permit for the food. But that's something, it's such a long-term plan and it's going to take such a while to construct regardless that the timetable won't affect us that much. But we did, the future plans we've always considered because we didn't have the funds to be where we wanted to be right away, so we want to slowly grow to that. So when we were doing the initial research and talked to the city and, talked to, town of Tonawanda, we actually ironically almost ended up in Hamburg where First Line's Black Smoke was going to
really?
end up. But just because, and for them it works out excellent just because they're bringing obviously the bourbon bar there and they're not brewing. It wasn't going to work out for us there just because the room for expansion wasn't really there. And that was, to your point, something we really cared about starting out. So we chose this not only for the affordability of it, for the location being in Larkinville, but also for the fact that we could expand within the building as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was definitely on our minds when we were looking around.
And I think that the city of Buffalo in this current area, I mean, you talk about Briar Brothers, Spotted Octopus, there's a good community here for a startup brewery. If you went somewhere where there wasn't a brewery, you would kind of feel like on your own a little bit. And it would be difficult. Like here, you can bar hop, right? Like you can go to one place, you can go to the next, and then you can experience a lot of different people's taste. It would be very difficult to bring somebody out to a place that doesn't have a brewery and be like, come here, try us out, because there's just like, that's it, right?
Yeah, the one and
Absolutely,
done.
yeah.
And it's kind of like that effect where you see a McDonald's, you see a Burger King. And because of the community, the collaboration that happens between the breweries, that's the very common question I get to ask my patrons is, hey, are you having a Sunday fun day? Are we your second stop, first stop? What are your plans for the evening? Oh, after this, I'm bouncing down to Briar Brothers, hitting up Magic Bear. And you get to be part of that locality. It's a nice feeling to know that even though we're the new kids on the block, we're still coming up on people's radars, and we're already part of their Sunday or Saturday tour of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Sweet. So do you have this space, like, are people able to have events here, or like what is that process like?
So another thing that's about to be, just like with the patio that's rolling out very soon, next week we are starting to be open for events. There's already information on our website about that right now, but we kind of, how do I phrase this? A lot of breweries and a lot of restaurants that do events kind of have separate rooms for it. Like you can think like New York Beer Project for that, or First Line, since we talked about that, has the upstairs.
Yep.
We actually have the ability to, if you do an event for us, you actually rent out the whole brewery. So there's some information on that on our website, and we're actually rolling that out and doing an official post about it this week. And we've actually had a few events already, mainly family and friends that have reached out to us and kind of got our feet wet. Like we had my fiance's bridal shower here, saved me some money too as well. So I was happy about that. But yeah, we're going forward with events actually starting this coming week.
So you said announcements potentially soon around food. What do you currently have for food? Is it just like chips and stuff like that people can munch on?
We have a couple different options. John is actually the one who found. We have charcuterie boxes through a woman named Natalie. She runs a company called Simply Sliced. They're little pre-made charcuterie boxes. We just started selling beer pretzels as well with beer cheese, spicy mustard, and the chips. So right now it's extremely limited in what you can munch on. You're definitely not coming to Sad Boys to have dinner. You know what you mean? So
Yeah.
just kind of munchables right now.
You're coming here to be sad.
You're coming here to
and
be
then they
sad
get happier.
And they get happy. Yeah.
I gotta say though, our beer pretzels did so good they sold out our first week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, they are delicious. They're so good. I went out at what was it? It's
Restaurant Depot.
Depot.
Yeah.
I got a box of 36 for myself at home.
That's awesome. So you talk about website announcements on Instagram coming. What are your social medias? What's your website? And then can people contact you through there to book events and stuff like that?
Yes, so our Facebook, it's Sad Boys Brewing. Same with our Instagram. As for the website, I believe it's Sad Boys Brewing at square.com.
Yeah, it's the we use Square for a point of sales and also for the website as well. And we don't own the actual Sad Boys Brewing LLC. We actually got accosted by
Oh yeah.
one of the people who just buy a bunch of URLs and sit on them. So we already had some guy DM us if we wanted to buy the sadboysbrewing.com URL from him, because he noticed we were opening, and one of those people who just buy the domains and sit on them for a while. I'm too prideful, so I told him no. So and it triggered me a little bit.
Yeah.
So
It's actually one of his better qualities as CEO. Is he is when he has to be, he's compromising, but when you go against him, he's like, "Nah, man, I'll figure it out. I don't need you."
That's hysterical. I'll just go the .org route.
Exactly. So our website, if you Google us, right on the page, first link goes right to our website, and we have our menu there. We have a couple other things, advertisements and details for the Stein Club, and now we have the event page on it as well. And people email us at sadboysbrewing@gmail.com to schedule events.
Yeah, and I'd say also feel free to reach out to our Facebook or Instagram. I monitor them. We're real big on events, whether it's live music or we had a beer pong tournament not too long ago. We're going to be having Can Stars come down on the 25th and do a live canning event. So anyone who's looking to book, events, whether you're a single performer or you just have an idea that you want to see at a brewery, we're pretty receptive to new ideas, and we're hoping to, like I said, make a nice atmosphere here to where we're giving people an opportunity like we were given to come in, try something new, and get your name out there.
That's awesome. And then what are your guys' hours?
We're open Thursday through Sunday. Thursday and Friday we're open from 5 to 11, and Saturday open from noon to 11, and Sunday from noon to 7. So we all work full time still, so it's kind of like a rush to get here at 5. So
Yeah, that double time is tough when you start working both jobs.
Yeah.
Difficult.
Oh yeah.
You mentioned Stein Club. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so we just rolled out the Stein Club, and it has been technically out for a while, but fits with the theme well. It was Sans Steins until quite literally 3 days ago.
Yeah, we just got him.
Yeah,
So we ordered the Steins from China actually, and a buddy of mine in the National Guard runs an Etsy page, and he's a shop teacher in the city of Buffalo. Does a lot of cool things. If you saw the Bill's prayer candles, he's actually the one who started making those.
cool.
But he etched in the logo and the numbers for them. They're kind of like Yeti steins, so we kind of wanted to go with that. We liked what Fatty's did. Being Franny's alum ourselves, we frequented them quite often with the ceramic ones, so we ended up going with Yeti steins, but with shipping delays that they just got here last month, and we got them matched real quick. But yeah, a lot of good benefits to it. It's a 24-ounce stein, so every beer you get 6 ounces more. It's actually one of the heftier steins in the area for the mug clubs as well. But you get $1 off your beer every time you get here. Flash discounts, percentages off merch. A lot of benefits to it. It's a good time.
That's cool.
It's $100 for a year of the
Yeah.
membership. So I mean, you get $1 off your first pint every time you come. So not only are you getting the extra, 8 ounces over a
Six.
regular
ounces.
pint,
Yeah,
6
extra
ounces. But you're also, 100 visits and it pays for itself.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Well, anything that we didn't talk on that's on the horizon that you guys want to touch on, or no?
Yeah, I guess not really on the horizon, but just give a shout out to the help we've gotten so far, not only from like local breweries and my dad, but also from our fiancés and our girlfriends who have been staffing for us.
Drafted into service out of love.
staffing for us for free,
Sure.
helping us, get open and get there. And we couldn't have done it without all the help.
Yeah, that's huge. It's absolutely huge. Well, thanks guys for your time today. This has been awesome. Go check them out on social media, Sad Boys Brewing, and turn that frown upside down with some Hefeweizens or Berry Sad. So thanks guys, appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.